Are you confused by what discard even is and why everyone keeps telling you to throw part of your starter away? In this video, I'm going to explain the difference between starter and discard, when you actually need to discard, and what it means when your starter is acting weird. First, we'll make sure you understand what's in your jar in the first place. And when you're ready, we'll move on to, is my starter okay and can it raise my first loaf? But let's start with the basics. What is starter? What is discard? And how do you know which part belongs in bread and which part, if any, needs to go? But before we dive all the way in, if you're still at the, I'm curious about sourdough, but I'm not sure I want sourdough taking over my life, I made something to help you. It's the free sourdough roadmap. It's a simple, free 5-step path that helps you understand what making sourdough entails, the basic journey to your first loaf, and most importantly, your exact starting point, wherever you are. So you don't waste time or flour. You can grab it at the breadandbutterway.com roadmap. Now let's clear up this starter and discard confusion. One of the biggest reasons sourdough starter feels overwhelming for beginners is that it feels like there are just so many rules you have to follow. Keep a big jar of starter, feed huge amounts of flour, throw half of it away, save every scrap in another jar. And if you're just trying to feed your family real food without throwing half your pantry in the trash, that doesn't feel good. So when you end up with 3 jars in the fridge, one you think is starter, one you think is discard, one you're afraid to open, this video is here to flip that thinking. You don't need a giant starter. You don't need to save discard every time you feed. Instead, you can keep a small, tidy starter that fits your baking rhythm. So discard is something you do only when it's truly necessary. And I will show you how to maintain a small amount before this video ends. Now, let me tell you about a mom who came into my workshop with what she called a discard addiction. She had started her starter using a high discard method she found online. And every day, to maintain a large amount of starter, she was throwing half of it away and saving the discard out of guilt. Within a few weeks, she had 1 giant starter and a giant discard bowl in her refrigerator, and a lot of confusion, and sadly, no actual bread. In our workshop, we did 2 things. We shrank her starter down to a small amount that matched how often she wanted to bake. We gave discard a job and a few simple recipes, and then permission to let the rest go. Once she saw that discard was a temporary phase and not a permanent lifestyle, everything felt lighter for her. Her starter made sense. Her fridge calmed down and she baked her first loaf in a couple of weeks. That's the same kind of clarity I want to give you from this video. So let's start with the starter. Starter is just flour and water that has been fed and allowed to ferment. In the early days, it can look sluggish, uneven, or flat. That doesn't automatically mean it's wrong. As it matures, a healthy starter will rise after feeding, doubling in size, sometimes even tripling. It will have a gentle dome top, smell pleasantly tangy or yeasty, but it's not harsh or rotten, and it will look bubbly all the way through, not just on top. So when your starter is bubbly, has a gluten web, and smells pleasant, we call that active starter. Active starter is an ingredient that is included in your sourdough bread recipe. That's the good bacteria and the wild yeast working together to ferment your dough and ultimately rise your bread dough and loaf when it's in the oven. The key idea is starter is the part you're feeding with the intention of making bread. So now let's talk about discard. Discard is the portion of your starter you remove before feeding again. We discard to do a few things. 1, keep the starter from outgrowing the jar, and avoid feeding huge amounts of flour we don't need. Here's where my philosophy is different from a lot of what you may see online. I do not want you discarding huge amounts every day. I don't want you feeling obligated to save every spoonful of discard. And the best way to avoid waste is to start with a small base of starter. So instead of keeping 200 grams of starter in your jar, keep only 50 grams. And when you feed, you add a matching weight of flour and water. Because your base amount is small, your discard, if you even need to discard, is also small. So discard is the portion of your starter that you're not planning to feed again to make your bread dough. So when is it appropriate to discard? In my kitchen and inside the bread and butter way, there are three main reasons to discard. You have too much starter for your needs. Maybe you followed a big volume method and ended up with a giant jar of starter. If you're not baking that much, it makes sense to remove excess and shrink it down. You are starting a starter from scratch. In the early days, discarding half of your starter is essential for building up the bacteria and the wild yeast. This also builds strength without letting the jar explode in size. The third reason is you are refreshing a starter that has been sitting in the fridge for a while. It happens. You set bread making aside and leave your starter in the fridge. And when you come back to it, it's like this icky, gluey, slimy mess with dark liquid on top. Outside of those, most home bakers can go through long stretches with very little or no discard by keeping a starter small, feeding only what they need, and refrigerating in between bakes. You have permission to design a system that doesn't revolve around daily discard. So let's talk about saving discard. If there's a season where you're reducing a big starter down and you suddenly have a lot of discard, it can make sense to save some of it and use it in your other recipes like pancakes or waffles, cookies, brownies, quick breads. But once your starter is the right size, saving discard every single time you feed can quickly become clutter and pressure, which creates the overwhelm. Here's my simple rule. If you have a lot of extra starter because you're shrinking a starter or learning, it's fine to save some for recipes. But once your starter is small and settled, you do not need a permanent discard jar. You are allowed to prioritize a decluttered kitchen and a manageable starter over the idea that every gram must be used or saved. So a quick safety check. If you do save discard in a jar, it will continue to ferment in the fridge. And over time, you may see a layer of dark liquid on top. That's called hooch. It is going to have a stronger smell. None of that automatically means it's unsafe to use. It's just more fermented and very hungry. However, discard or starter should be thrown away when you see fuzzy mold on the surface or pink, red, or orange streaks or spots. At that point, it's time to say thank you for your service and let that jar go. And when you let it go, you can reset with a small starter that you actually use so you don't end up back in the same place. So what does it look like to maintain a small starter? You will only need about 50 grams of sourdough starter in a jar. You will take all 50 grams of that starter and feed it 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water the night or morning before you mix your dough. Once it has risen, domed, and is bubbly, you will mix your dough. You usually will only use about 100 grams of starter when you're mixing up a 2-pound loaf of dough. That leftover 50 grams goes back into your small jar, back in the fridge for your next dough day. It's really as simple as it can get. There is no one right way to keep, maintain, or care for a sourdough starter. You simply need to do what works for you in your kitchen. I like to keep more starter, like closer to 200 grams, because I make over 100 loaves every week. Also, I know that I would forget to pull out the 50 grams of starter to put back in the small jar. So I like to keep more, kind of as like a check and balance for myself. Also, if you're baking as much as me, I like to keep my active starter ready to go. I don't always remember to feed my starter the night before. Plus, I like to make bread on a whim. Keeping more starter gives me more flexibility. But now that you understand the difference between starter and discard, and when discard is actually necessary, and how to maintain a small amount of starter to avoid, you're ready for the next question. Is my starter ready? Is it strong enough to raise the dough? Is it strong enough to raise the bread? Is it okay if it still looks weird or smells strong? What do I do in the next few days to get to a first loaf? That's exactly what we cover in my live sourdough starter workshop. In that workshop, we look at your actual starter, decide whether it needs rehab or a restart, and map out the next 3 days so you know exactly when to feed and when to mix your first dough so that you can make your first loaf. And if you're not sure how much starter you should maintain for your desired baking frequency, and the entire process still feels a little chaotic, I will personally guide you to discover your rhythm. You're not piecing together random advice from strangers. You're following a path with live support and real home bakers doing this alongside of you. If this video has been helpful to you, like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. When you're ready to move on from "is my starter wrong" to "I know my starter is ready," you'll be ready to make your first loaf. And when you're ready to move from "is my starter wrong" to "I want to know if my starter's ready," then you're ready for the Sourdough Starter Workshop. Save your spot for the next starter workshop. Link is in the description. I'm Sandra, this is the Bread and Butter Way, and my goal is simple: to help you make every bread your family eats something you made yourself in a way that fits your real busy life. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.